this heaven? No. It's Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous Podcast with the guys from IAwrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IAwrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show.
All right, we are live. Emergency podcast, maybe? I don't know. Schares already giving me crap for it, but this is usually don't do podcasts on Sundays, but it's the state wrestling week, guys, and brackets come out. I, for one, was on torn, like whether to wait up for the brackets. Maybe they might slide them in like 4 o'clock in the morning, but they came out 9:30 on time. So it was nice to get some sleep, though, right?
I mean, who says we got sleep? I was up all night.
Well, Don Bosco was. I mean, you guys were all partying probably. I mean, how many of you guys get through?
There are 10 guys watching the Iowa meet, though, man.
It was
Did you
a
stay
late
up watch the Iowa meet? It was
late.
Had to watch the Iowa meet. Had to start writing previews and everything else. Too busy to get any sleep this time of year.
Yeah, so brackets come out, and this is year 2 of the seeding, right? And last year when the brackets came out, they changed them multiple times. I don't know if that was to be expected or not, but we haven't seen any bracket redraws. I've seen people be on one side of like, holy cow, this bracket is just out of bounds. Other ones have been like, all right, that's pretty good. Lars, you've been pretty. You threw out a tweet that you want to go back to the old style, and you look a little grumpy. But what are your It's been a few hours now. I mean, what are your thoughts on? We'll just start with 2A, I guess. Just your initial reactions.
Oh, I think some of them are okay. There's others that are real head scratchers. And then there's the debate of criteria and what it really should be, and I don't know. I think they're giving too many points to things like common opponents. I'm okay with it being included. I don't know that common opponents needs to get 2 points. And the difference between common opponents and a typical tournament throughout the year compared to this one is throughout the year, it's, say an 8-man bracket, you're actually looking at, 2 kids that are really similar to each other. So if you're trying to decide who's the number 3 and who's the number 4, you're seeing where their common opponents lie. This is just saying, hey, I've wrestled the same kid as 10 guys in this bracket, and I'm going to give you 2 points. You know what I mean? That point system is different than what I would consider for head-to-head or common opponent criteria in a regular tournament throughout the year.
Schares, what are your thoughts on it?
I think 1A was okay. I don't know if it's way better than it was back before. I think where you have some troubles is where you have like a 106 where you have some really good freshmen in there. They didn't get a ton of points, since they weren't returning place winners or qualifiers last year. There's a couple head-scratching seeds in there. Then, like I was telling you, sometimes you have where a guy you think is maybe should be the 3 seed, but he got the 6. Now, was that intentional that they put him like that? Because, I mean, eventually it's probably going to shake out the same anyway. So, I don't know. I don't know what goes on behind the closed doors, too. I mean, did they just put all this into the computer and spit it out, and that's what they did? Or it's okay. I'm indifferent about it, I guess I would say.
I mean, Lars, what have you? I've seen, based off like what is out there on the High School Athletic Association as far as points given. They changed it to where there's 2 points now, and then there's head-to-head stuff going on. But some of them look like they didn't go towards that. I mean, do you think they stuck to the system throughout, or? I mean, there was Cale Happel put out a tweet like common sense should be the number 1. I think you're kind of on that side too, but did they stick to the actual criteria in every single bracket, or do you think some were a little bit different?
I guess I haven't went through it enough to really see what that was or not. I think there are things that are just common sense, from that aspect that, you have a point system, all this is in place. I guess, if they are going with it, I hope that they didn't change anything. I hope they really just used it, ran it forward. I've gotten texts already like, how many of these are they going to change? And my answer is 0. I hope it's 0. Last year they started messing with the brackets, and that was even worse. If you're going to put this out, just stand by it, go with it. I do think there's an element of common sense or certain things that should still play a little bit of a role. But really with seeding, no matter what you do, as soon as we said we're going to seed the state tournament, or they said they're going to seed the state tournament, they open themselves up to a world of everybody's going to question it. No matter what they do, people are going to question it. But there's definitely some things that to me are highly questionable.
Which ones are those?
28145 to me was the most glaring one that I saw. So you have Jack Thompson, Hayden Taylor, and Jack West all on the top side of the bracket. Pretty clear cut 1, 2, 3. I mean, there's really no doubt in my eyes that these are the top 3 rated kids coming in. Maybe Jack Thompson losing yesterday cost him a little bit, but that's one match. This guy's still a returning state champ. You got to use a little bit of sense. And then you got on the other side, some good wrestlers. You got Jaden Payton and Jackson Rawls sitting at the 2-3. I assume they're getting points because they've wrestled each other 3 times. So right there, they're getting head-to-head points. They're getting common opponent points. You know what I mean? They're getting lots of different things when, they both have 5 losses and all this different stuff. And you're punishing a Jack West or a Jack Thompson by putting them on the other side as well. So I didn't think that made much sense. Another one that stood out to me was at 120 pounds. Dominic Rideout from East Marshall is undefeated. He's number 1 in both sets of our rankings, which is completely, above all, guys, that's not even considered. That's not part of it. But in everybody's eyes, he was kind of considered that number 1 guy. He's undefeated. He has 3 wins head-to-head over Colton Crawford from Union. Colton Crawford gets the 2, and Dominic gets the 4. I'm really not sure how that works. Crawford's 32-8. Rideout's 34-0 with 3 wins against him. I don't understand how that even makes sense, how that works that way. And then you're sitting with Lilligard and Rideout, who are probably the 2 kids I figured would be 1-2, one way or the other, and they're sitting on the same side of the bracket. So to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
On 45, I mean, that guy, I'm not in the seating meeting, but Jack Thompson, he got second. So, he could have been in this situation.
But district finishes are no longer any part of criteria in the state tournament. So if you're doing the blind draw like you used to do, and you're saying a district champ against a district second, you know what I mean? And that was really the only criteria you had, fine. That it is what it is. We had a formula. It was done a year ahead of time, whatever. No big deal. But now you're saying that district runner-up means nothing. District champ means nothing. It doesn't matter how you did your district tournament, which I kind of agree with in some ways. Then you can't punish Jack Thompson for his entire body of work because he got put in he gave up a defensive fall yesterday. He still got through. He's still 42-2. He's still the defending guy. How does he get punished that much for losing 1 time yesterday?
Maybe it's a little blurry because of your background. Schares, are you seeing that? Look, why is Lars' background blurry?
I don't know. It's a feature. You can click it. You should know that, Tony Promo.
Okay, all right. So
I don't know what's going on.
You're good.
On me, man.
All right, so we're gonna go on Schares here. Maybe you can try to figure it out. So Schares. So all right, 1A. I haven't looked at it at all, and I haven't seen a ton of people complaining a whole lot about 1A besides 106. I've seen a couple different people ask questions about that weight class. Is that just because of the freshman element there?
Yeah, I mean, then you got guys like Jade Moore, who's a sophomore, who he wasn't varsity last year. And then you got some freshmen in there. But I don't know. I get it. I'm not saying this is terrible here. You probably, I mean, you still might end up with your best two in the finals, so it's not too crazy. Hoppel was really rewarded from being a returning qualifier last year, I guess. So I don't know. I think it might shake out the right way. It's going to be a weird way to go about it, though, but it's not terrible, I guess.
Well, let's just get I want to get your quick thoughts. Let's just go bracket by bracket, and we don't have to go into predictions yet or anything like that, but just anything that kind of catches your eye, where they got right, where they got wrong, maybe. Schares, are you ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay, so let's start at 106 here. So we talked about 106. Okay, so if you got anything else on 106, but let's bump up to 13.
Yeah, for sure. I'll try to go quick since, we got all classes here. It's going to take a little while. I don't know, maybe a little shocking to see McDonough get the 1 seed. I know he's undefeated. You got your returning state champ, Marcel Lopez, gets the 2 seed. Now, it basically just gives him a tougher match in the semis, probably against Graf, where you were thinking maybe he was going to have him in the finals. Top side's maybe a little lighter since those two are on the bottom. It's not. Go ahead.
You talked about freshmen, not getting seated as well at 106, it seemed like. And then here you have the same, kind of the opposite, where Cale Bridgewater, it seems like almost got rewarded as a number 4 seed as a freshman. So it almost seems like it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, I guess because you do have a bunch of qualifiers that are seated behind him. So, yeah, I don't know. It is a little weird, I guess. I don't know. I think, again, I can't complain too much because it's probably going to shake out about how it should. Maybe you have your finals in the semis, but that's all I really have for 13, I would say. Move on.
Yeah,
120?
Let's keep moving. Keep moving.
All right, 120, yeah, another one. You had maybe kind of your top guys 1 or 2 places off. I had High Stand number 1 and Barnes number 2. But here they have Barnes 1 and Funk 2. I don't know. Funk's kind of been rewarded for a couple big wins. I think he's had Highstead at the 3. It's not too crazy. It's 2-3. It really doesn't matter too much. Chris Ferguson didn't get too many points because he did not wrestle at state last year. He didn't wrestle at sectionals, I think, but he was top 4 all year. So that makes quite the tough quarter at the top of 120. But again, the whole bracket I wouldn't say is lost, but there's a couple guys maybe out of place here. But at the same time, there's not much you can do when you don't go to state last year, I guess. All right, 126. I think they got it pretty much right here. I think it almost went chalk, I guess, with my rankings. So, I mean, not too much to really say on that. It's your finals could happen. Your 1 and 2. It looks 26 looks pretty good. Maybe one of the better ones, I would say, as far as seedings goes. Is that what you want to do here? Just talk about seeding? Or
yeah. Well, seeding or just anything that stands out. I think. We're gonna have previews and predictions on the site here in a couple of days, but I just want to kind of get your initial thoughts and just kind of have a look. If you want to give your predictions now, that's cool. I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on how it kind of is looking right now.
Nah, we're good. I'll just try to buzz through them and get something out here, then we can give a little bit more with our content later in the week. I might even go through a few here with hardly saying much. 32 looks pretty good. You might have, as far as my rankings go, 2 and 3 were flopped, but I don't know. Maybe I'm saying that at every weight, where it doesn't matter because they're still going to meet in the semis if everything goes to chalk. 38, 1 and 2 are separate. It looks pretty good. I don't know. I guess 1A is too good. Lars is going to be throwing bombs everywhere.
Well, it's 38 though. It's that whole freshman thing again. Like Dominic Lopez is sitting at the 3 as a freshman, and does he? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Has he had that kind of a schedule that gives him that many head-to-head wins, or anything at this weight?
No, because I did actually drop him a little bit in the last couple rankings because he took a couple losses. So Yeah, I guess like you said, of a head scratcher. The problem is some of these other guys got beat up too, so I'd assume that's why he's still there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess on to 45. Here's one where you could maybe have some complaints. Nick Hamilton, I had him ranked number 1 all year. He gets the 2 seed. Meeker, two-time runner-up, gets the 3 seed, and then you get Cale Ranavardi from Bosco gets the 1 seed. I know I've seen a couple people complaining about that one. I don't know. I guess I can kind of see it a little bit, but I mean at the same time, I mean look who Ranavardi's beaten this year. He's beaten Jack Thompson. He's beaten some of these guys. He's beaten the number 1 seed at 152. Meeker, I don't think he has much of a leg to stand on to be ahead of Ranavardi. I know he has some of them runner-up finishes, but at the same time, he's kind of been the benefactor of being at some weights that ran away from some of the good guys like the Happels and the Avilas and those guys. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure people look at Ranavardi's 4 losses, and that's probably part of the hang-up or what they're thinking. But like you said, I don't know that anybody really wrestled a better schedule than Cale Ranavardi this year.
Yeah.
He's got some crazy good wins. I think Hamilton in him, 1 or 2. But again, does that really matter? The only thing is then Hamilton gets Meeker in the semis. Like I say, I think Ranavardi, Hamilton are easy 1, 2. Maybe they were flipped, maybe they weren't. But I don't think this is as bad as, you know what I mean? Some of the weights are. I don't think it's terrible.
No, for sure. I would never argue anyone that said Hamilton should be seated above Ranavardi, but I maybe would argue with the Meeker one. I think Ranavardi's probably your 2 seed with what he's shown this year so far.
Agreed.
All right, on to 52. I guess I was a little shocked to see Hawk get the 1 and Rice get the 2. Again, like we said, it's just 1 and 2. Is it really a big deal? I would say the 4 seed here is maybe the biggest head scratcher I've seen. Garrett Seba of Clarion. I mean, again, you got Blake Thompson at the 5, so it's not a huge deal. But maybe some of these other guys that are 6, 7, 8. Honestly, I don't even know how he got there on the 4. I don't know if you can maybe think of something there, Lars. I mean, he's good. I've had him in the rankings, but it was a little shocking to see him that high.
Yeah, it's really, really shocking to see Seba that high. The only thing I can think of, again, is common opponents. I don't know. I know he's wrestled a decent amount of my 2A guys too. He's got to have some common opponent wins, but it's still really shocking to see Seba there at the 4. Having Thompson in that quarter helps a little bit, but yeah, and we got guys like Tate Entrikin's way down low. Monahan maybe could have been on that side as well. Some guys like that probably have a little bit more of a leg to stand on there. So I have no idea how they put Seba at the 4, but other than that, I think the bracket's okay. It's just, like you say, maybe somebody that's sitting at the 6 could have gotten there, in that 4 or 5 line, but
yeah,
what do you do?
I mean, going to 160, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of getting into some more weights where I got some complaints here. John Ebaugh, Gabe Carter, I don't really know why he didn't get seated in there. Especially like at 6, you got the Ross, the Colfax kid, he's pretty good, but I would probably put Carter above him. So actually it's kind of makes it a pretty tough draw for the 1 seed here. But, I mean, you got 1 and 2 separated, so I would say other than that, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I agree. You flip Carter and you flip Ross, and this actual bracket would be about scratch. It'd be really good.
Mm-hmm. All right, 170. You got, I think you're good here again. Maybe that 3-6. I would like to see one of those guys get the 4 between Ventriker and Mulder. But again, I think you got 1, 2 right. There's not going to be any complaints there. This one's, again, 1 or 2 guys maybe out of place, but other than that, it's really close. 82, again, 1 and 2 where they should be. You got Baker at 4, Haynes, maybe you get a little higher seed than I would have thought. I think I had Lynott ranked 3, so he gets slotted in there at 6, which is kind of the same thing, as long as 3 and 6 meet up. Nobody really out of place. I don't know, maybe this is a really boring podcast. I'm just going through saying, looks good. 95. Tate Hagen undefeated, so you give him the 1 seed over Cole Clark. I guess I kind of get that. 3, Eli Van Ginkel of Western Christian. I don't know. That's really high, I guess. I wouldn't expect him to be there. He has 10 losses on the year. The only time I watched him, he kind of got beat up a little bit at the Herb Ergens tournament. Yeah, then you got that's a real tough draw for the 1 seed there with Stefan potentially in the quarterfinals. So yeah, I would imagine common opponent put the Western Christian kid there because
this bracket's bad. Just say it, Eric. This bracket's really bad.
I don't know. I guess I didn't. It's hard to. They've only been out for a couple hours. You and I got stuff we're doing. We're not sitting here looking at them the whole time. So This one, the more I look into it, it is kind of. This one's not real good.
Stefan got a bad seed. Udell got a bad seed. There's plenty of guys here. Like the Udell thing almost works out because he's sitting with Van Ginkel. So maybe you could, plays off like Udell would have gotten the 3. But yeah, Trayton Stefan being at the 8 or the 9, wherever he's at is pretty terrible. I mean, in all honesty, I have no idea how Van Ginkel can be ahead of, at best 8 or 9. If if you're going off of what we've seen all year. Would you put Van Ginkel higher than that 8-9 line?
No, I don't. I don't even have him ranked. And you have the guy who's at 4 from Hinton, Derek Anderson. I had him ranked, and I just recently dropped him. So, and Gase, unranked Gase, he's kind of been hurt or unseeded, I guess I should say. He's been ranked. He's been in and out, so I don't know if he has a lot, like to stand on to be seeded. But that's 3 really good guys in that top quarter because of that. That third quarter there, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say that. You're the guy who's been, I guess, what was that, 113 where we had Clayton McDonough, number 1. He went 1-2 or 0-2 at state last year. He's undefeated, and he got the 1 seed. Here you have Rolene from Northwood Kensett, and he's been undefeated all year, and he gets the 3 seed. So, Mendoza's took some losses. I know he's the highest returning place winner. I would have had him too, so it's not too crazy, I guess. But it is kind of weird to see, an undefeated guy get the 1 seed at one weight, not at another weight, when there's really not necessarily a clear number 1 outside of him.
I think the only good thing you can say about this bracket, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but it looks like your quarters could be your top 8 guys. There's no like crazy first round matches, so you still have like Mendoza and Hagen, you got Haub and Thierry. You got Rolene and Thurston. You got Wrecker and Alley. You know what I mean? So quarters could kind of play out. Like maybe they're not the way we would have mixed them in, but I still think your 8 guys got separated first round anyway, to me, just looking at it from an outsider perspective.
I think you're right. I think that's a good call. What I look at it more, though, and I see is Rolene's going to have a ranked guy every match if he runs the gauntlet here. So you reward the undefeated number 1 guy with that, I guess. I don't know. But not terrible. All right. On to heavyweight. Last one. Looks pretty good. You got they might be in a different order than I would have said, but you got your top 4 guys separate. Bus, another guy, undefeated. Last year he was in a tough district. Didn't make it to state. Been undefeated all year. Beat the number 2, pinned the number 2 guy 2 or 3 times. And he gets the 4 seed. So I don't know. Should we be complaining because the 1 got the 4 and the 4 got the 1 or what? Probably not. It's probably gonna. I think your top 4 are separate. So
yeah, I think that worked out as far as like say 4 and 1 maybe flipped, but the one that sticks out and he gets Gabe Hayes first round, who's a returning state qualifier, 30-3. I know he's got some good wins too. So I was kind of surprised to see him not get seeded at all and get get drawn into the one there. But as far as the top 4 being separated, that I definitely agree with.
Okay, well then you have Isaac Steffen from Postville bumped up to heavyweight at sectionals. I guess I wonder how you reward, or you obviously just put it in the system just the same, but I wonder how that should play in where the guy wrestled all season at a different weight basically, and he gets the 5th seed over some guys that had ranks, so a little interesting, I guess. Sure, they don't care. So there we go. There's 1A. Was that boring? Cool. Is everyone?
No, that's good. No, we're doing good. We got about 200 people listening, so no big deal. 1A, is my obviously that's where I grew up in 1A, and I'm a little biased towards the fans of Class 1A, and I'd be curious, like, if it differs from like 1A to 2A and 3A, how fans feel about the seating. I feel like 1A, it's more. I feel like 1A fans like want to go back to the old way, and the 3A fans like the seating. I don't know why that is, but that's just kind of the vibe I feel.
Yeah, like we kind of were talking before. I think with this criteria, 3A should be the most closest to what it should be, because I mean, you hardly ever wrestle a match where it's not a common opponent with somebody in a bracket, right? In 1A, I mean, you might go weeks at a time before you wrestle somebody who had a common opponent. I mean, before you have a common opponent match with anyone in the bracket, just because it's so much more spread out and there's so many more kids, so many more schools. So I don't know. But then 2A was the one that we think of as maybe the worst that got seeded. So I don't know. I don't know. Did they get lucky? Is it actually the right thing? This is 2 years in. I'm like I said, I'm indifferent about it.
I still think I've seen the stats. We're gonna have an article coming out here about kind of how the seeds played out last year versus the finishes, and I think that will shine a light on a little bit, just kind of whether they're right or wrong. I guess you're always going to have people that complain about seedings, rankings. I mean, that's what's always fun about this type of stuff, right? I mean, there's no perfect system besides for sure besides the actual system. Like as long as they're following the system of the rules, and there's no like, this doesn't make sense, we should put this there, and changing the human element, then I think we're good. Obviously, we don't have any inside information, or we're not in that room, so we don't know. But as long as we're sticking to that formula, then there's no issues, right? So let's get to 2A, because Lars is just gonna blow this up, I feel like. So let's get to Lars here.
It's probably not as bad as you think, but there's definitely some that I'm not going to be real excited about. 106, I think for the most part is pretty decent. Those top 5 or 6 are all pretty good. But there's a couple like Cole Nelson. This guy is really good. He comes in. I got him ranked number 3. He's returning state qualifier. Most of those losses on the year are all to Petzenbaum. And guess what? He followed them through sectionals. You follow them through districts, and now you get to deal with them and the quarters at state. So I thought Cole Nelson kind of got a bad draw there. And the other one is Carter Anderson, who I had ranked number 4 out of Elbia. Goes unseeded. He gets the number 3 seed right away, first round. So you're going to see number 2 versus number 4, first round. It's a crazy draw there. They separate a lot of the other guys. I think people will be surprised to see Scorpel get the 2. He was a district qualifier last year, but didn't go to state. He is undefeated. He has beat Bass the last 2 weeks. Yesterday was went down as a pin. From everybody I've talked to from multiple schools, it was possibly a slam. But he gets rewarded for beating Bass the last 2 weeks. He's undefeated, so maybe I can see that. Robbins is where he needs to be. The Anderson and Nelson, I thought, though, just kind of were a little bit of head scratchers. I thought those guys could have maybe been a little bit higher. And Anderson Robbins first round that's crazy. You want to know where I'm going to start my first round matches to watch? That's the one.
Speaking of Bass, how's he doing? Have you heard?
They were reevaluating him today, so he was okay yesterday. He went back to the gym. Didn't have a neck brace on or anything. He went on the stand, but they were just letting him rest last night. He was going to the doctor to reevaluate today, and hoping that he'll be able to wrestle on Wednesday at state duels and Thursday at individuals.
Good.
And I gotta apologize. I mixed up my McDonough's from Central Springs. I said the one went 0-2, but he got 4th last year, so that's why he's the number 1 seed. Sorry.
Boom. Get it right here, Eric. Come on.
I know.
There's only like 8 McDonough's from Central Springs.
That's what I said. They both need to place the exact same because I can't keep them straight. So.
Anyway, on to 13, I guess. In 2A, not a whole lot to complain about here. This is actually one of the better brackets, probably. 1, 2, 3, 4 is exactly the way I had them as well. I thought maybe Riley Anderson from Bondurant got a little bit of an interesting draw here. Kind of didn't get seeded the way it looks. So that, he gets Whitehead second round. I have Anderson 5th. He's a returning state place winner. He got 6th last year and goes unseeded this year, coming in at 33-4. So I'm not sure where that criteria, exactly fell off for him. But Whitehead's going to have his hands full. He's got Kellen Moore first round, who I have ranked. Then he could have one of the more, either Abram Moore or Riley Anderson, who we just talked about, possibly Keaton Zymet, and then probably Carter Faustick to try to win a title. So Cole Whitehead got, the 2 seed, but really a really, really tough draw here. But overall, I think those top 4 are right, like I said. Not a ton to complain about at 113. Computer to update here. There you go. This was the one, we talked about a little bit. Colton Crawford gets the 2. That's a head scratcher to me. He's 32-8. This one I think is kind of the opposite, where they must have taken last year's state tournament and really to heart. So Colton Crawford got, I believe, 7th last year. Dominic Rideout was not a state place winner. Maybe that factored in, but the fact that Rideout's got 3 wins over him. Fox is a freshman. We talked about the whole freshman thing. I do have Nick Fox number 2 in my rankings, but he does have some losses. He's got 6 losses on the year. I don't know. I guess I'm not sure. Rideout and Lilligard being on the same side isn't great. I would have put probably Colton Crawford on the top with Rideout, and then put Fox and Lilligard on the other side, but that's just me. Some of the other ones played out all right, but again, I think Lilligard's got himself a pretty tough draw as well. Yeah, there's some good kids there. So
I know we talked about it a lot already, but it is the only leg Crawford has a stand on being above Rideout is that he placed last year.
I mean, it has to be. I literally don't know what else comes into play here. Really, even most of Crawford's good wins this year are all 1A guys, so I'm not sure how that plays out either. So does this common opponent factor in 1A state qualifiers as well, and not just 2A guys? That I'm not sure of, because the only ranked kids that Colton Crawford has beat this year are all 1A guys. And like I say, he's got 3 head-to-head losses with Rideout, let alone, his other 5 losses. I just don't know. I don't know where that comes from. But then you got a guy like Ben Schmitz from Carroll Kemper, who got 3rd, I believe, 2 years ago. Had a pretty good year. He's taken a couple losses here late, but he goes unseeded. So you got Nick Fox and Ben Schmitz facing off first round as well, which is going to be a wild one.
Wow. Yeah. Kind of crazy weight, I guess.
Yeah. This is one of those that was really a head scratcher to me, but what do you do? On to 26. Same thing. Yeah, Matthew Lewis, 2-time state champ, looking for his 3rd as a junior. He's comes in as a number 2 seed. A little bit different there. Isaiah Weber's at the 1. He was a runner-up last year as a freshman, so really good wrestler. These top 3 you could put him in different ways maybe, but a little surprising not to see Lewis at the 1 line. So that gives him Brock back in the semis, who's that, clearly a top 3 guy. They actually just met at districts too. Now they're on the same side, which I know doesn't necessarily come into play anymore, but a little bit weird there. And then Lewis also gets Cale Eiley from Gilbert first round. I don't know. This kid, I have him ranked 4th. He lost to Beck in a really close match during the year, gets upset yesterday, but he's 46-2, really good wrestler, and he gets the 2-time defending state champ first round. A little bit of the head scratcher there for Cale Eiley. It seems like Logan Arp really got bumped up. He's had a couple good wins lately. He beat Eiley, he beat Worthen, he beat some good kids, but him coming in at the 5 is a little bit surprising. So there's some really good first round matchups. It's going to be great. Orton is going to be an interesting matchup for Brock Beck. Super long kid who really likes to scramble. And Beck's kind of that, straight at you, going to get physical kind of kid. So kind of an interesting matchup there as well.
Yeah, you got a couple landmines in the first round here in this weight, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. This is going to be one of those matches to watch. I could come up with quite a few. Sam Nelson, Jack Eitz. There's just some really good matchups here. So on to 32. Not terrible. Other than you get Hatton and Loonsman in the second round. I'm assuming they punished Kane Loonsman for not placing last year. He was in the quarters, got injured, had to injury default out. He was a state place winner the year before. I've had him ranked basically second all year long, and Loonsman gets the 6. That's the big head scratcher to me right there, is Loonsman being the 6. So really you have 3 of the top 4 guys on the bottom with Kozlerich, Hatton, Loonsman. So Kincaid, he's my number 1 right now. He gets the 1. Really shouldn't have a ton of trouble getting to probably the semis. Some good kids there. Avery Abbin and Keegan Sheeler first round. It's another one of those kind of head scratchers. Abbin gets the 5, and so Sheeler's unseeded. I'm not sure how Keegan Sheeler doesn't get a little more love there. And then Chase Thomas, I know he's a freshman. That has to be part of what came into play here. I got him ranked 6th. He gets Kozlerich first round. Again, you want first round fireworks. Chase Thomas and Caden Kozlerich should be your match to watch here for sure.
He's probably getting punished for that district final loss the most there, right? Thomas is?
I'm assuming he has to be, between the district final loss and being a freshman. He had wins against ranked guys this year. Maybe that cost him a little bit as well. But definitely a tough draw. I mean, even if he's not a top 6-7 guy, I'm kind of surprised. Kind of stinks for him to be sitting in that spot. On to 38. I don't think there's any question. Jalen Schropp's your number 1. They got that one right. And then really 2-3. There's the debate of Gino Bana, Kibbers. Definitely the 2 guys that need to be there. Macias at the 4. Really this weight actually looks super good. I haven't taken a lot of time looking at this. I would say this one's pretty much right on. I don't know that I really have anything to say about this. I think 2A38, great job, guys. I'll put it out there. They did great at that one.
There you go.
But now
Lars
we get
says I got one right.
45. So we went from the best bracket to the worst bracket. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe this. This is literally probably one of the worst brackets I've seen in the last 2 years. The worst, probably. I don't know. I have no idea how this one played out. I'd be interested to see what everybody got points based on. But I think 1, 2, 3, Taylor, Thompson, West are easy 1, 2, 3, even with Thompson losing yesterday. And they're all on the same side. And this is absolutely crazy to me. Peyton and Rolfs have wrestled each other 3 times this year. Rolfs won 2 of those, so I don't know. That's probably why he got the 2. And some of his losses are out of state. They go up and wrestle a lot of Minnesota teams for Decorah. So if you don't factor those in, maybe that's part of the reason that he got seated a little bit higher as well. Nick Bockenstead, a guy pins Jack Thompson yesterday, comes in, he gets Jaden Payton in first round. So that'll be an interesting one there as well. But really, it's just the fact that West, Thompson, and Taylor are on the same side. Two of those three should be in the finals, and only one of them is going to get a shot. So,
yeah, that seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, I just think it's wild. I don't know. It gives guys like, Jake Neiman and Tress Sales are highly ranked kids on the bottom. It gives them a try to sneak into the finals as well. So,
well, that's what I don't really like too. Is I think we've talked about on other podcasts. You might have one result that almost doesn't even make sense. Like when we're doing rankings, that you kind of throw it out a little bit. And you're kind of doing that with Jack Thompson because he has 2 losses. I know he lost to Ranovardi, so he lost to the number 1 seed in 1A. Is his loss there, and his other one
is a defensive fall yesterday at districts.
And you're immediately punishing him. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And it's just a complete head scratcher. Same thing, Jack West got 4th last year. So Taylor, Thompson are both defending champs, and then your next highest place winner would be Peyton and West, both got 4th in different brackets last year, but West got 4th at 45. Like, he's coming right back to that bracket. His only 2 losses are to highly ranked kids in 3A, which I think we're both at 152 pounds. You know what I mean? So they're not even at 45. He hasn't lost in Class 2A. I don't know. Peyton's got a win over Ranovardi. Maybe that helped play a big factor into it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's still, and I don't necessarily have a real big problem with Jaden Payton, but to me, Rolf's Payton should be the, 4 or 5, and Thompson West should be the semis on the bottom. Especially if you factor in any of last year or anything like that. But we'll see. I guess you got to beat them all. On to 52. That really this is a pretty decent bracket as well. Asmoil Gockel are split. Appleseth and Gonida are split. I was a little surprised to see Colby Toole. He hasn't wrestled a lot this year, would be the biggest factor for me. So it looks like you kind of punished Hunter Peshek from New Hampton for not wrestling much this year. But meanwhile, Colby Toole didn't wrestle much either, and he gets the 4 seed. But him and Appleseth 4-5, I think is probably right. Maybe would have flipped him. It's just kind of weird to see then Peshek goes bumped all the way down to, I guess, maybe the 7, because he hasn't wrestled a lot this year either. But overall, I really don't have any big problems with this bracket. I think Asmoil Gockel being opposite is great. I don't have a problem with Gonida at the 3. So, I think this is just going to be some really good quarterfinals matchups and not too bad at 52. 60, similar, nothing terrible. I think Matthew Doyle's probably the one that got punished here. He gets the 6. I probably would have put him a little bit higher than that. I don't know. Maybe because he wasn't a place winner last year, he was a place winner the year before. But then like Babcock, good thing Babcock, he has so many good wins this year. He didn't even make the state tournament last year, but he's going to have a lot of head-to-heads and common opponents over guys that are in the state tournament. So Babcock gets a 2, McCunn gets the 3. That's right, the 2 of them. But like Doyle and Shaw first round is going to be the match to watch here. That's a crazy one. I probably would have put Shaw maybe even on the 8-9 line, and then this bracket probably would have played out pretty good in the corners. But overall, not awful, other than maybe Matthew Doyle getting bumped down. And then 70, I can't remember what weight it was we talked about, Eric, in your bracket, where it seemed like it was all switched around. Like these guys didn't make sense, but at the same time, you had all 8 were probably going to make the quarters.
Yeah.
I think it was 220 maybe.
Yeah, 220.
That's what this is. You know what I mean? Like you look at the seeds, and some of it really doesn't make sense, a little bit mind-blowing even to me. But the other side of it is I look at it and go, man, we really have a chance to have the top 8 guys be meeting in the quarters. You know what I mean? They should all make it through the first round, hopefully. And, I think we talked about it on the last podcast we did that, maybe you could draw 1 through 8 at 170, throw them in a hat and see what happens. So I'm not overall upset about this. I think those 8 guys got split, which is okay. I think there's a lot of different ways you could go with some of those guys. But I was super surprised to see, Libby 1 and Griffin 2.
Well, your only undefeated guys is 6 seed.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So Swala, I've went rounds with the Van Meter coaches about that. I had him, he really climbed the rankings for me throughout the year, ended up 3. He's undefeated. The only thing I can say there is, he hasn't had the schedule of some of these other guys. So Swala Voss round 2 is going to be that's a 1 versus 3, ranking wise. So that's going to be a crazy one. But I think, all my best 8 guys, I think will be hopefully in the quarters against each other. So there's some separation there. Not the way I would have seeded it, but I think it'll kind of play itself out a little bit. 82, top 3 are spot on. No complaints there. I was very surprised though with the 4. Colby Wilmisher from Bishop Heelan is 37-13. So he did knock off 2 ranked guys yesterday. So he actually came through a district bracket. Both ranked kids that were there got upset first round and then couldn't get a wrestle back. So he was your district champ, but again, I don't know. I maybe he's seeded, but I have no idea how you come up with the 4. Really rankings wise, he wouldn't have been in my top, probably even 13, 14. And somehow he gets the number 4 seed at state. So that's a real head scratcher. Austin Roos was a guy that's been ranked off and on throughout the year. Was just outside the last set. He gets the 5. Again, I don't know. I don't know how exactly this played out. And then, Kinsella gets the 2, and he's got a ranked kid right out the gate. You got Dylan Miners. So a little bit weird. Like I say, I think the top 3 got right. So in theory, when you get to the semis, that'll be good. Caden Collins from Trail City got upset at districts yesterday, but he's the number 5 kid in the rankings. So, him against Wilmisher, flip-flop them, and I'm probably almost okay with this bracket. So maybe Caden Collins got as good as he could as far as draw, even if he didn't get seeded. He's probably a guy that you might even see in the semis against Walker. So, but at least they got the top 3 separated. I guess that's kind of the main thing there. 95, Volker's an easy 1. Rizanki's my number 2. If anything, Hempstead and Winkle's the undefeated guy. He's got, I forget what the number is, 35 pins or something this year. Just been completely dominant. He gets the 4. Maybe I would have flipped those 2 around a little bit, because now you got Winkle sitting in a really, really good quarter. Gage Marty's dangerous. Carter Maines is highly ranked. Jack Sindlinger is a former place winner. So all those 4 guys are sitting in the same quarter. And then Sam Chapman, I thought, kind of got the raw end here as well. He's been ranked all year, unseeded. He gets Wyatt Volker round 1. So tough go there for Sam Chapman. He wasn't a state qualifier last year, so I'm sure that came into play a little bit on him. But don't get much worse punishment than Wyatt Volker first round.
At least he's not that strong or anything, though.
Yeah. 220, the top couple guys are definitely right. Cody Fisher 1, Kobe Simons are in the 2. Seth Adrian, I had 3 all year. He comes in with 2 losses, which are the last 2 weekends. Got beat by Simon at sectionals and districts, are his only 2 losses. But I'm okay with him being, maybe in that 4-5 bracket. Crew Howard does get rewarded here for being undefeated. So it just seems like that's a little inconsistent there with that undefeated guy getting a little bit of a reward. But I'm okay with Howard getting 3, Stevenson, Adrian 4-5, and then Hamilton 6. So Hamilton's going to be a name to watch out for here. His only loss is out of state at Independence to start the year, and he's been on a tear all year. So overall, I thought this bracket actually played out pretty well. I thought, Fisher's got the easiest draw as far as quarters go, which is good. That's what he needs. And really those top 6 guys are all sitting in okay spots. So no real complaints at 220. As you move on to heavyweight, similar thing. Top 4 guys are exactly the way I would have had them ranked. Top 5 even, I believe. So no real complaints there. Only thing that's too bad is Petlon and Rich, again, have followed each other the last couple of weeks. These guys have met all year long. They have 4 combined losses, and they're all to each other. And they get on the same side, which is too bad, but they're 2-3, so it is what it is. They are the second, third best guys in my rankings as well. So overall, I thought this bracket actually played out really well. Tavon Rich probably got the easiest quarter here, so we'll see. There's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Chris Vanderbrink from Rock Valley gets the 8, so him and Sutton will probably be a really good quarter as well. That's really what I got for 2A.
Is Tony sleeping?
I am here. I'm just waiting for these lower classes to get out of the way. Talk about the 3A class. It's tough,
What's
man.
a 3A?
What's 3A?
All right, Tony promo.
All right, so in regards to the tournament, Lars in 2A though, West Delaware been clear favorite pretty much the whole year. Is there anybody, the way that the bracket's laid out, is there any way that we could see, someone else come up towards the top?
Towards the top, yes. Get first, no.
Yeah.
This is West Delaware's tournament to lose.
They have so many more bullets too. Just when I was putting those qualifiers by team together yesterday, I mean, like there's like one team, a couple teams with 8 maybe, and then it's like 6,
12.
Yeah, that's what. Well, I mean, outside of them though, so it's gonna be real tough to do it with 6 or 8 when one team's that is the favorite has 12.
The better team
Yeah,
than
for
last
sure.
year?
And what's that?
Better team than last year?
Yeah, for sure. I think even last year when they coming into the state tournament, we knew they had a shot. We talked about them, but I really kind of thought they were a year away. And now we're seeing that this year's team, the next year, and really next year, they're going to be probably just as good as they are right now. So scary for anybody in 2A. After last season, I would have said Union's the team that maybe had a chance to challenge them a little bit, but Union lost a couple of real big bullets yesterday. Lincoln Mailer, Hunter Worthen staying home. So I think Union's in a dogfight just to keep a team trophy at this point.
All right, so let's switch to 3A. We got UNI and Iowa State coming up here in 4 minutes. So we'll try to roll through this here really quick. Who knows though? But 106 Ryder Block, number 1 seed. Nathan Jessaroga, number 2 seed. Those two guys. Then there's been so much people saying, Jessaroga should be number 1. Block should be number 1, going back and forth. We've had Block number 1 the whole year. I'm guessing seeding-wise, it was probably a coin flip of who got what seed there, which is a big deal, right? Because you got Brandon O'Brien at the number 3. He's going to be 3. 3 seed there, and he hasn't been on the mat for a while. But, he's a pretty big kid now, finally, and Jessaroga's a little smaller. I've heard Jessaroga's got a little bit of an injury, so that is a big factor at 106 pounds. I think that's probably the matchup to watch, would be that O'Brien-Jessaroga matchup. I have gotten to see a lot of Owen Helgelson here lately. I haven't been in the room a lot at Johnston, but I do like how he wrestles, so that I see him moving on to the semis there at in Class 3 at 106. Moving on to 13, Trevor Anderson. He gets the number 1 seed. Roybal has that common opponent win over Falsick. Anderson doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see how those seedings worked. I'm guessing Roybal's lower state finish maybe hurt there. I'm not. Again, I don't know. I haven't done any of the points there in 113. But dude, Trevor Anderson is he's just a dude that I think he thrives in moments like the state wrestling tournament. So I just don't see in the state tournament situation. I feel like he's gonna be able to put things together. I do like how Ryder Downing from Indianola is wrestling at 113 pounds. Roybal, Ethan Wood Finley, maybe quarters. Reiner Stahlball from Johnson's back. He's been out for a good part of the season at 113 pounds there.
You sure you didn't see these first two weights, Hager? Because they seem to be pretty close to scratch from your rankings.
Yeah. These look pretty good. So
other than maybe Anderson Roybal flip, but other than that, 6 I thought was pretty straight up. 13 looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, I mean 3A, the seedings were pretty good, really.
We talked about a little bit. Eric talked about it a little bit too, though. The nice thing about 3A is most of these guys have head-to-head wins. 1A, there's less head-to-head because of how many schools there are, and they're so spread out, things like that, where it seems like 3A, a lot of these kids meet each other. So I think that kind of does help, the way these are seated. But I agree. So far, 3A looks pretty darn good.
120, Ayala, no one's going to be able to beat him. I don't see him slowing down. But the Thurman Christensen Waukee versus Kegley matchup in the semis, that should be pretty good at 120. If those go this goes to chalk. Kramer versus Carnes, quarters, that'll be a fun one to watch. At 120, 126. Park and Taylor, Carson Taylor. We saw there was a little bit of talk of Colin Schreiber not wrestling at districts. They got a match up there at Fort Dodge, but Colin left no doubt that he's going to be able to compete at the state tournament. Handled Carson pretty well. He said that he didn't even wrestle his best match, but Carson's been wrestling really great all year. So that Bryce Park matchup in the semis that'll be one to watch.
I wonder where Schreiber would have slotted in here, and say he defaulted in the finals to Taylor, just with so few matches. But again, he's 2-time state champ. But then how much do you factor in last year where he didn't place? Or wait, did he place? Yeah, he didn't win it, I guess I should say. So I don't know. I'd been curious to see how that would have worked out. He
defaulted out to it 8th or 6th? Yeah, 6th.
Defaulted to 6th.
Yeah.
The other one here was Jace Anderson. That's I understand maybe how he didn't get seeded. Not a ton of matches, things like that. But that's a really good freshman that Bryce Park has to deal with round 1.
Yep.
I don't feel like Bryce Park got any favors here in this bracket.
Yeah, that will be the matchup to watch first round for sure in Class 3A. At 126, 132. Jessaroga beat Espelin at districts. Espelin's been dealing with injuries, I feel like his whole career. I like Jessaroga a lot. So he's up there. 31-5 for Southeast Polk. Hunter Garvin's in this weight class. You got Aiden Riggins getting the number 1. I like Riggins up at higher weight class, right? I mean he was so small last year and cutting a lot of weight, but this one's tough. A lot of people like Hunter Garvin. A lot of people like Jessaroga. This is a tough weight class. I don't know what you guys. Brooks Cowell in there. This is 132 is tough.
Won't this be your 1 and 4 and your 2 and 3 are on the same sides? They just flip-flopped, right? So you had Garvin 1, Jessaroga 4, and you had Riggins 2 and Espelin 3. So they're split that way. They just happened to go opposite sides, where Garvin got the 2, and it just kind of played out weird. I would have expected Garvin to be the 1 based off of last year's results, but I think it actually worked out all right with what the matchups could be in the semis.
Yeah, I think it'll be all the same. I guess it'd be the people that have to face those guys, but this one I feel like either side is going to be really Keaton Morit. That's a guy to look out for though too. So Morit, Jessaroga there in the quarters, that could be a big Norwalk has just had a sneaky good team. So, if Mora is able to knock out Jesseroga there in the quarters, that's obviously going to be really good for Waverly Shellrock with Riggins being on the top side. So that's going to maybe have some team implication there.
I'm just happy Roger Riggins is finally feeding Aiden.
Well, they're on that keto diet in that Riggins house. So, I mean, now I don't know if they're still on it, but apparently not.
He's going to be back down at 6 next year then.
138. Whit Stanek be good quarterfinals. Edwards is in there too. Drayson Phillips is Phillips from Fort Dodge is a man. I saw him at CIML, and kid is wrestling really mean right now, and he's got confidence that maybe I haven't seen in the past. So Phillips is who I see getting out on this side. James Edwards, he's been dealing with some injuries, but Ratchie has had all these guys' numbers. I don't see Ratchie getting really challenged here at 138 pounds. You guys see anything here fun?
Not really. I think Edwards and Moley in the in the quarters could be really fun, to maybe get to Phillips. But again, I think the seating's pretty darn good. And like I say, I think Ratchie's definitely the guy in control this way.
Yeah, the Moley Edwards is definitely. That's probably the matchup to watch prior to any the semifinal matchups. Whoever gets out of that one, I still think Phillips is your guy from Fort Dodge and makes the finals on the bottom side. 45. This one's all over the place. You saw Colby Schreiber get beat. Ben Monroe. He's been different. Changing weight classes. Man, this was all over the place. Sam Callum, he's had he's kind of turning it on here late. I don't know. What do you guys think of this 45-pound weight class? Seeds are all. I mean, it's kind of all over the place.
It seems like it to me. Yeah, I don't know what the wrench was in here. I mean, everyone's taking losses, so there's no clear cut. This guy's undefeated number one, so. I don't know. There's definitely no favors being done here for Waverly and Southeast Polk as far as the team race goes. These guys could be on the backside pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, I think they separated probably the top 4 or 5 guys, right? Maybe Monroe over Gambrel, but as far as those top 4 or 5 guys, I think are all in the right quarters, kind of where they need to be. Yeah, I don't think this bracket's too bad at all.
The Mills and Schreiber quarters, if they both win, will be kind of fun because it sounds like there was a last second pin there at districts, and there were some words that were thrown out that the fans really, you're wrestling at Fort Dodge. Obviously, those fans are pretty passionate, so be interesting to see how heated that one gets.
Was Fellers down there for yelling or what?
I have no clue. If he was there, he was yelling for sure. Let's move up to 52. Evan Yant, Anderson. That'll be a rematch from districts. Barta, Corbin. I mean, Barta's been wrestling really well all year. I mean, I think on the Southeast Polk team, this is definitely going to be a big one for them to win. He's got a little bit of swagger, so that's a big one for a team race there for Barta. Then
the one that stood out. So the one that stood out the most to me was, how does Ethan Vetrick get to 7?
Yep. Let's see. Yeah, he's 32-2. I don't know who he lost to. I don't have it up here, but yeah, that's brutal. I mean, Norwalk just kind of be interesting to see what points got what there. But Yant Yant's going to be really tough to beat. I don't think that Bedrick's going to have a tough run there. Caleb Corbin too. Meacham too is a sneaky guy you could maybe watch out for, but Eli Lloyd, this is a guy that I think he likes to have fun in his matchups. We know Lloyd up from all the years he has to have fun, but I think when it comes down to tournament time, he might not get too crazy and go for big moves. Russell's smart. I see him getting through the top side in probably a Cody Anderson-Yant matchup there in the finals. So we'll see if he lets it fly or if he wrestles smart and gets it done. What are your thoughts on Lloyd's chances of getting out of 52 here?
He's in a good position, I guess. He doesn't have the obviously. Well, he's the 1 seed, so he doesn't have to worry about 2 and 3. But yeah, not having those guys on his side definitely helps him.
Well, yeah, I feel like his whole quarter is not bad at all. Meacham's okay, but I don't think he has much trouble getting to the semis. And, to me, I think he's still the guy to beat there.
Moving up to 160. Caleb Helgeson looks really good up at 160. He's really long and lanky. He wrestles really, really smart. Bonanno in the Anola at the 2 seed. I think there's a lot of kids that can win this. I do like Helgeson to get out, but one name that Ben Cooter, that's a name that Keeter. I
like Cooter better.
Cooter. What is that? Cooter Ray from Nebraska. When did he start wrestling? I mean, he's got 20 matches in, but I feel like he didn't start till halfway through the season.
Yeah, it was pretty late. I think it was January. I got to think Tate Nactaborn is as happy as anybody in the state right now with the way that this bracket laid out.
Yeah, I mean, think about this. At 160, you've got 2 freshmen that could win it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough. We don't see that very often in Class 3 or really any classes, but 2 freshmen there at the 3 and 4 seed that very well could win this thing. So this will be a fun weight class to watch. I mean, I
think in our rankings group text, I don't think there's been a single weight we've talked about more on how to rank it with all these top 4 or 5 guys. And, I mean, you got them separated. So, I don't know, maybe is somebody supposed to be on the bottom and that's on the top? Yeah, but at least you got them separated out and give them a shot.
I mean, if you're Helgeson, I don't know who you'd rather have. You either have Ben or Tate. I don't know they're at top, but I think Caleb's going to be really tough to beat at 160. Maybe that's a little bit of homerism for me at Johnston, but 170. Logan Niels, Griffith. I think you're going to probably, you see that go chalk. Haggerty, though, Waverly Shellrock, if they're rolling, that could be, a dude that kind of can roll through here, get hot for Waverly Shellrock.
Yeah, I've only watched him a couple times, but I've been really impressed.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't see any names in here where it's like, there's no way he's not going to make the finals, I don't think. I mean, he's got a tough road, but I think he can get hot and do it.
I think they pretty much just nailed this bracket. I don't think there's anything like crazy out of the ordinary at all. I think those top 5-6 guys are pretty much right where they need to be in my eyes. Maybe Barker and Plummer could flip-flop, but that would be the only thing, and they're 4-5, so I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, that will be probably the quarter to watch at 170. I know I'm kind of just giving predictions here, but I think the seeding went pretty good here on all these. 82.
Give a hot take, dang it.
82.
That's what everyone's waiting for.
I don't know. Jake House, he could be a guy there that kind of, I wouldn't say a sleeper, but that could be a guy that could win it. Will Hoft, Iowa City West. I don't really like 182 pounds, honestly. Not. What are your thoughts on 182, guys? Yeah, I mean, there's no one that like sticks out that just like that's none of these matchups really are fun for me as far as how this kind of lays out.
Yeah, I think they separated everybody, pretty well. So that way, like first round, there's nothing great. I was a little surprised, Gamble over Will Hoft, but those top four are probably separated all right, and really there's no great first round matchups here.
Tanner Harvey from Boone. I mean, Boone hasn't had a decent kid in a long time, so it's good for Boone. 38-4 coming in here as a junior, so I guess that we talk a little bit about him. 95. Gabe Christensen, nationally ranked dude, going to win another state title here.
Yeah, Egley and Stoner agreed on the other side, which is right. So
yeah, that's the seedings went pretty good there. Egley, he's been hurt. I think he had broken hand, so Fort Dodge, great to have him back, right? A senior leader. How does that affect him? I haven't talked a lot to Fort Dodge about how he's been wrestling. It's been a guy that's where his head's at has always been, and injuries have kind of been his kind of side factor over the years at Fort Dodge. So 95, yeah. I mean that semi is probably the only thing to really watch here at this weight class.
Is everyone hurt in 3A or what?
They just work harder. I don't know, man. Are they just or maybe they're weaker. I don't know. However,
maybe they're softer. I don't know.
220. Braden Wolf. I really like him. We got to see him.
Yeah, but he lost to Lenahan yesterday. What's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, they've both split. They've split their matches. Linehan, yeah, I mean, this probably going to go back. He's going to go down to that. I mean, Caleb Runyon, though, too. He's been wrestling really well.
I mean, does it almost work out better for Waverly? Maybe you keep a Southeast Polk guy out of the finals, potentially?
Yeah, but I mean, they could be bad, depends on, like you said, like Wolf lost his first match. He's 35-1, so, is it... You never know.
Well, not that was the plan, but I'm just saying.
No, but that is true. Like, you would stop those points, right? So, yeah, you could see that as a positive if you think you're gonna get past Runyon, But 220, let's go 220 or 285. I've been a big fan of Gabe Greenlee from Ames. But Little Bettendorf doesn't have a ton of matches on the year. Obviously, he's a big football player going to Iowa, right? Is Little going to Iowa, Lars?
Yep.
Griffin's
going to Iowa.
Yeah, Griffin Little from Bettendorf. He's undefeated. Going to be a favorite, but Greenlee is a monster. The guy is all right. It's like 7 foot tall, dude. So, I think he gets out from the bottom side there.
I was a little surprised. Jordan Anderson is a name that's popped up a lot on my radar. I always think really highly of. I was a little surprised to see him get the 5. Honestly, if he would have been on the bottom, that probably would have been my dark horse pick to make the finals.
Yep. He's only got one loss on... No. Yeah, one loss. Yeah, one loss on the year. So 285, I mean, I think you're spot on there with that Marshalltown. That's a bright spot for them. But I think this is definitely Little's match. This was a 3-man race here for a while. I know what happened to Josh, Lars. I know you got some information on that, right?
I don't have a whole lot. I want to say it was a knee. I guess I can't even remember off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
definitely an injury. Happened late in the year, so he wasn't able to wrestle at districts, and he's going to play football as well. So I think he's just really focused on rehabbing and getting ready for his college career there.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play football, there's no point in risking it for wrestling. But that definitely, one of the top wrestlers though at 285. So, we're gonna kind of broke down all three there. But overall thoughts, I mean, we'll have breakdowns from all classes. We'll have state duels coming out, state duel previews, and then individual tournament breakdowns. But I'm pumped for the state wrestling tournament. Schares isn't going to be able to really be a part of the behind the scenes thing.
There.
I mean, yeah, he'll be there. He'll be at the.
I'll be contributing.
Yeah, I wrestle Magic though.
No, Schares is the guy that no one ever knows where he's at the state wrestling tournament.
Hager, are we sure you're going to be a part of our state wrestling coverage this year?
This is very true. Thought my wife was going to go into labor on Saturday. Friday we thought we were, and then the last 2 days it's been pretty. I mean, I'm not having the baby, so I don't really know how the hell she's feeling. But my luck, this baby is gonna come on Wednesday or Thursday, so I will definitely be at the birth of my child and be there for as long as I can, right? And so you guys are gonna have to pick up the slack. So.
Can we make a Twitter account like Hager's Baby Tracker or something? Somebody do that. Somebody listening.
Who's gonna update it?
I mean, I'll do that. I'm not gonna help with any wrestling stuff.
Yeah,
but
can't
I
help
can
with
do
actual
that.
coverage, but he'll do the baby tracker.
Yeah, he'll do the baby tracker, but not actual coverage. Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of the wild card here this weekend, but we got a lot going on. If I'm not there, there's plenty of people that can pick up the slack. We'll have interviews going on. Obviously, I can't remember how many we got last year, but usually we try to set the bar higher than we did before. We got some new people that are coming. Don't have Ross this year, unfortunately. But
Me and the newbies.
Yeah, Lars and Anderson and Torque are going to be dominating the interview scene. But man, play-by-play is going to be pretty fun this year. Hopefully I get to be on a little of that. But Lars and I will hopefully be on the play-by-play for the state duel, so be on the lookout for that. And we're actually going to have a big announcement tomorrow morning, too, that you guys don't know about. But we'll be be on the lookout for that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe I'll tell you off air, but be on the lookout for that. Anything else, guys, just for this? I mean, I know you guys are so excited to get to the Iowa State UNI duel.
I don't know. Did anybody have any questions?
There was one question. There was one question, actually, for you, 1A, that got brought up a couple times. Here, let me look through them.
I mean, I know he said I got my McDonough switched.
Yeah, Shelly Waste asks, can you go over 1A 145 again? Strength of schedule should have nothing to do with seeding. Redo 1A according to the criteria placed by the Iowa High School Athletic Association.
Well, I don't think strength of schedule has anything to do with it, but your strength of your wins should. I mean, should be right towards the top. Like if you beat all the good guys, it should matter. I don't know. We went over 145 quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I'm guessing
it's head to head. So head to head and common opponents come into play, and that basically is strength of schedule, right?
Yeah.
So if you've wrestled enough ranked kids, you have head to head wins against them. You have common opponent wins with them. That's where it comes into play. So it might not be quote unquote strength of schedule, but really. Yeah. I mean, really, that's what it is. Your head-to-head and your common opponent is what makes your strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
She's saying the top 3 kids seeded are not correct if you go by the seeding criteria.
I'm no computer wizard. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I think also, we'll hit on that a little bit. So I've had multiple people send me the criteria that's listed in track wrestling and say, why am I below this kid who I've got more seeding points? First of all, that's not the final points. That's not what it was. I wish they would have hid that or taken it off or done something with it, because that didn't factor in the 2 points for head-to-heads, and it didn't factor in the second point for common opponents either. So what you see, if some people know how to dig around and track and find what's listed there for seeding points, that is not the final seeding points.
There you go. Important clarification we probably should have said right away.
Here was another see, this is a point, I guess, that said, like in football, see, Chris said this, it was, we see the RPI for football, why not release the spreadsheet for wrestling?
I'd like it, because you'd make your coaches update a little bit more during the year, like where we'll go and do rankings and all of a sudden 3 results will pop up that weren't there from before. So, but at the same time, it's a lot more work for the coaches to be up on top of that, I would say.
Yeah, individual it'd be tough. Yeah, with football,
for sure.
with football, it's a little bit easier, but man, with
absolutely,
individual, it'd be pretty tough. But maybe I think what maybe would be nice to see, like Lars is saying, is when you're digging around in track wrestling, you can see what points were given, but it's not, that's what track can only give you. Then they go in and they give you the extra points, because that's, the track can't do that. Maybe it would be nice to see what points were given and kind of break it down a little bit, so it wasn't kind of like a mystery, because it's still very new. So what if it was a little bit more clear cut of like who got what points, why they got it. I don't know if that's something that I can do. What are your thoughts, Lars?
Yeah, I mean, they either need to not show it at all or show the whole thing. I mean, it's not they're putting partial information out there, and that's obviously just going to create more confusion and make more people mad.
And Randy Lewis just had a point too, that if there's an event that's on flow, like if you got somebody that's going out of state, those results wouldn't go into the track wrestling.
Well, the coaches still have to put them in. You have to have all your stuff in there.
Okay.
But as far as head-to-heads and common opponents, it doesn't factor.
Oh,
that doesn't factor.
Well, I would imagine a lot of out-of-state stuff doesn't anyways, right?
Right.
No.
Well, I think this. I like the fact that the best kids are separated. 145 2A, I agree, Lars, is really a mess. Thompson shouldn't have got beat, so that really, why? If he wins that, then are we in the same situation, right? I don't know how those seedings went, so that's unfortunate. That bracket is the way it is. If we go back to the old system, then hey, we don't even have this podcast where we're not complaining about the seeds. So I don't want to say we go back. I don't know. I want to maybe just say, like, if there was, it's a little bit clearer for the everyday person to understand how the seedings played out, who got what points. So if that was public knowledge, then people wouldn't feel like whoever's on the seeding committee is playing favorites or anything like that, because that's just always going to be in the back of someone's mind that someone used some kind of human element to make these rankings the way they are, or the seedings the way they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think they need to make it more clear. They either need to be all out there, give everybody all the information, or, not give out so much information one way or the other. If it's just truly a computer point system, I don't know why we wouldn't put it out there, because it's not the human element. There's nothing to worry about. It's literally done by computer, so let people see it. There's no issues with it. This is how you got your points. This is how many everybody had, and this is why it came to it. So maybe there could be a little bit more there. The only thing with the points that I don't know. It's a hard thing, and they're still trying to figure it out and tweak it. This year they added the second point for head-to-head and common opponent. I do like the second point for head-to-head. I'm not so sure I went to left common opponent at 1 instead of 2 points.
I think we're better with what we saw this year than last year, though, right? Like, it's kind of almost night and day, or not?
Last year, I think we are better, but last year we really don't know because they released brackets and then they changed some, they left some. Like last year was just a complete disaster from every aspect because of the fact that they started changing them. I do think this year got better. So I think for the most part, they're on the right track, and I'm sure they're going to keep tweaking it. It's just those few brackets. We had a lot of brackets we looked at. We said these are all right, but there are those few brackets that are real head scratchers, and that's where you open yourself up when you do seeding and you don't disclose exactly the way it played out.
One thing I will say too is I think I kind of ran some numbers too last year on how many ones and twos made the finals as opposed to years past where one and two ranked guys made the finals. But they'll come back with the data and say, look, we made 1 and 2 made the finals at all these weights. It's got to be the right way. I mean, at the same time, you're also setting up whatever that person is you put in a lot better to make the finals. So
correct.
Maybe they were the 2 best and they made the finals, but sometimes you're giving those guys a little better, easier road, regardless of whether you think they are 1 and 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the heck it is.
But most importantly, Eric, I have 130 of my 140 ranked kids in the bracket, and that number's better than yours.
Well, I didn't drop all my guys out just because they were 3 deep at the district, man.
I didn't either. I had like 3 brackets that were 3 ranked guys yesterday.
I killed it.
Killed it.
Guys that got hurt didn't make it a couple, and then I had a couple 9s and 10s, and that was about it.
285 was a mess for 3A.
It was for 1A too. Just all heavyweight, I guess.
All right, well, let's wrap it up for this. Hopefully we'll have some more. It kind of depends, obviously, what's going on with the baby on my end, but we're hoping to have all of us sitting around in one spot, at least Lars and I, one spot after each session, kind of breaking down what we saw and what to expect in the coming round. We will be at the Fairfield Inn and Suites on the north side of Wells Fargo. We hope you join us. So, Schares, Lars, thanks.
I'll be making plenty of appearances for that, so don't you worry about that.
There will be Busch Light, Bud Light, and some other things there. So, and you're just a Busch Light guy. So, plenty of beer. All right. Thanks for listening.